Okay, so tell me a little bit about Habitat.
Habitat for Humanity in Wilson County, we've been here for over 22 years now. We have helped 65 families move into their own American dream to move to buy a house in Wilson County. This year, in 2016, we're going to be building 4 more new houses. With help from our community and help from Habitat, we are able to get those people achieve their dream.
So tell me about the song you wrote. What's the name of it?
Well, I read the back of Habitat's business card. Their mission statement is printed on there. And so after reading it, I wanted to write a song that kind of, represented what their mission was and that spoke to people. And reach out to people and see if people wouldn't try to help them do what they're trying to do, which is provide decent housing for decent people who deserve it. That's all. So the song is called Homeless If Not for Heaven.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Nice.
that's pretty much it.
So you wrote the lyrics and the music?
Yes, along with my friend Jerry Fox.
And I know that many hands make slight work. So if we all come together, we can serve a great God and do a great thing for our brothers and sisters out there. So this song talks about a place that we all know, which is our homes. There's really no place like home. I've traded hours of my life for just bricks and stones, but I'll leave everything here when I go. I won't leave it in my heavenly home. We're all just tenants on borrowed time. There's nothing I own here that's truthfully mine. The lives that we touch, the souls that we save, are all that matters anyway. We're all homeless, if not from heaven. We're just homeless, lost and alone.
I want to share with you a personal story, that also a personal anecdote that will be brief. But a number of years ago, when I was working, as Tori alluded to, I used to work in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and my parents and my grandparents, who were still alive at the time, were living in Nashville. And I would spend Christmases and other holidays in Nashville. I would come visit my family, as most of us do. And one Christmas, I spent the Christmas holiday in Nashville with my family, and it was about 2 days after Christmas, December 27th, I think it was, in the early afternoon, that I was leaving to say goodbye to my mom and my dad, and headed back out for Knoxville, Tennessee, where I was living at the time, and I headed down I-40 eastbound. And it started raining about the time I got to Lebanon, and it started getting kind of cold. And I went through Cookville, and when I got to about Cookville, it started sleeting a little bit. And when I got to the Cumberland Plateau and got to Crossville, the weather was really getting bad. But I made it over the plateau and got down on the other side of Crossville. Went past Harriman and Rockwood, saw the big steam plant there. But when I got closer to Knoxville and closer to home, it started getting dark, the weather got even colder, and all of a sudden I started seeing trucks and cars sliding off the roads. One big truck in particular started to jackknife and was sliding around. And right when I got to that point in the road, you all have been there, where I-40 and I-75 come together right outside of Knoxville, the traffic on the interstate was stopped. Nobody could go any further. The roads were full of ice, and the big trucks and the cars alike just had to stop right there on the interstate. A couple of people tried to drive through the median and turn around and go back the other way, but most of us just stopped right there on I-40. And I got to spend the night that night in my car. And, you know, that sounds like that was kind of a bad thing, and it was to me at the time, truthfully. I mean, it was cold. The roads were icy. I didn't really sleep very well, but I would sort of wake up every hour or so and turn the car on for a little while and have some heat in the car so I didn't freeze to death. Didn't have any food, didn't have a bathroom, didn't have, it was the things that we come to expect. I got to experience what life was like without those for just one night. And it made a real impression on me, because you know what? Every one of us in this room are so blessed to be able to go home to a warm house with running water. All almost every single night, aren't we? I got to experience that for one night, and I don't pretend to know what that's like for people who don't get to experience that. But it really gave me some perspective. It was an eye-opener for me. And I want to share one final anecdote with you. Am I still within my 5-minute story? I'm close. And that's a story, some of you have heard this, but it's just, it kind of, I think it resonates certainly with me and probably with you for what we're about today. And it's a story about a young boy who was about 10 years old, and he was at the beach with his grandparents. And one night there was a terrible storm, and the next morning the boy woke up at about 8 o'clock and went out on the beach, and his grandfather was already out on the beach. And the storm the night before had washed up on the beach hundreds of starfish. These starfish were all littering the beach, hundreds, maybe thousands of them. And as you know, like most marine life, starfish can't live outside the ocean. And so the boy saw his grandfather, and his grandfather was down on the beach, and he was picking up one starfish at a time and carrying it down the beach and putting it gently back into the ocean. And his grandson, the boy, watched his grandfather do this for about 10 minutes, and he saw that he wasn't even making a dent in the population. I mean, it was just barely noticeable, the work that his grandfather was doing. And so he went up to him and he said, Granddad, he said, this is futile. You're not making a difference. And the grandfather went over and picked up another starfish and carried it back and gently put it into the ocean. And he said, I made a difference for that one.
Oh.
And you know, that's really what we're about, right? We can't begin to conquer and address all of the needs that exist in the world or even in our own community, but we can make a difference in a small way, each and every one of us. And if we pull together, we can really make a difference in our community. I want to close with one of my father's favorite Bible passages that I think is relevant. It's Micah 6:8. Micah 6:8 says, what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Thank you all for what you do for this community and for Habitat for Humanity, and by extension, for those people in our community who really need our help.